Hi everyone, so same opening. I have been retrenched recently and has been on a job hunt ever since. I wonder when I can, have an opening that is saying that I found a job. I hope it will happen soon. So, after months of job hunt, one thing that I realized or I noticed is that it's not that there is no engineering job on the market. There is actually plenty of job opportunity still available, but most of them are actually contract roles instead of permanent job. And for the past few months, actually, whenever the recruiters ask me if I'm open to explore contract roles, I told them that no, because I just felt that contracts are not stable enough for me. But I have my reality check that it's really hard to get a permanent job nowadays, so I decided to explore contract roles and let my recruiters that has contacted me recently know about this. So the recruiters has been sending my resume everywhere, and surprisingly I'm getting quite a few interview invites. So the video today is to share with you one of the interview that I have gone through like 2 days ago. So the first round of interview is a take-home assessment. Take-home assessment again. Okay, hopefully this will not be a task that is, like free labor. The assessment consists of two parts. The backend is to pull a series of data for a few countries from a public API periodically. The second part is the front end. The front end is to build a React app to displace the data pulled from the backend. The backend has to be written in C# and the front end is React, and the whole thing has to be Dockerized. So for the backend, I built a console app. So let's run this in the Docker. I already built the Docker image. So we can see that they fetch the data. Let's look at the data. So the backend works as expected. Now for the front end, I use some free templates from the internet to speed things up so I don't have to worry about the UI design. So let's run the front end app. It will show the weather for the selected date and country by default. So let's say if I select more countries, it will show the data for the selected country. And if let's say I select other date range, it will also show the data. If I deselect, then the deselected countries will be gone. So the front end is working as expected as well. But actually there is something that puzzled me about this take-home assessment. The front end and the back end actually doesn't link up in the way that I would expect. If let's say someone has selected a different country and that range, which the data doesn't already exist in the database, normally we will make an API call to fetch the data and store it in the database and show the data and display the data on the front end, right? But in this assessment, they actually didn't require me to build an API call. So that is a bit weird. So if let's say your user selected a country and a date range that doesn't exist yet, there will just be nothing to show. So I'm not too sure if that's what they want. So I was actually stuck for here for quite a while. I was contemplating between should I just build an extra API to make this a fully functional app, or should I just stick to the requirements that they had given? And actually I spent a lot of time thinking about these two instead of working on the real assessment. In the end, I decided to not add the API, partly due to two reasons. Firstly, it's time constraint. I actually only have like 2 days time to finish this assessment. I would say 2 days is pretty fair for this, but the issue is that I actually have no experience with React. I have experience with Angular and Vue, so I think that picking up React is not that tough. So I actually need to finish some crash course before I can attempt the assessment. So quite luckily that I managed to finish everything within the time limit and submitted it. I actually do think that I will have enough time to add an API call. It's not that hard. But I decided to not, like trying to outsmart the interviewer or anything and just do what is requested in the assessment. And actually I kind of regretted. I felt like I should have just sent an email and asked like, this is not a fully functional app. Like, should I add an API call to that? Like to show that I'm very enthused about this. Anyway, but I would say the parts that I have worked on are functioning well. I'm quite happy with the end product, and currently they are still reviewing it, and hopefully I will get a reply soon. See you next time. Bye bye.